It made me cry.
This one's wife. Take my gem. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The narcissist can't stand to be overshadowed. The narcissist cannot stand for the limelight to shine elsewhere. The narcissist cannot stand that the attention is flowing away from them, especially when it relates to somebody that is painted black and has achieved the status of being the nemesis. It is the case that this one's wife, with so much time on her hands, and her narcissistic obsession in relation to Catherine, Princess of Wales, regularly is informed about and keeps an eye on what the royal family are doing, and especially in respect of Catherine. The envy that this one's wife experiences in relation to Catherine is part of her narcissism. Envy is a narcissistic trait. It can, in some instances, operate in a healthy way within the confines of empathic traits. For instance, you envy your neighbour's house, and therefore you decide that you're going to put more effort into looking after your own house, sprucing it up, etc. That doesn't cause a problem for anybody. You can afford to do it. You hire people to make the changes, and therefore your envy for how attractive your neighbour's house is translates into you improving your own. That is a healthy application of the narcissistic trait of envy. But when it comes to the narcissist, so strong is that envy that is harnessed by the narcissism's pursuit of the prime aims, that it develops into wanting to either cut down the subject of the envy or always look to try and outmaneuver them, outdo them, overshadow them, steal their thunder, and this can translate into an obsession on the part of the narcissist. It's certainly the case when it comes to this one's wife. As explained in the previous video, we had the amazing new promo for As Ever's programme, With Love, Meghan. And that was another hastily cobbled together series of clips that were pumped out on her Instagram. No round-robin PR release, no pumping it out across the appropriate social media channels by her PR people, no. This one's wife once again took to Instagram, and she did so because she was prompted to take such action because her narcissism indicated she needed to do something about the positive publicity that Catherine, Princess of Wales, had received. She was aware of what I'm about to tell you about, and this then amounted to a threat to her control. Praise was being directed towards the Princess of Wales, which is fuel that this one's wife wants. It doesn't matter that Catherine doesn't need fuel because she's not a narcissist. It doesn't matter that this one's wife couldn't avail herself of the fuel because she's not Catherine and she wasn't where Catherine was. That's all irrelevant in the world of the narcissist. What matters is she sees the people reporting about Catherine, talking about her in admiring tones. She can't stand it. Her envy in relation to her soars, meaning she has to do something. Now, her facade management means that she isn't going to go on the internet and start saying, Catherine's a complete see you next Tuesday. She smells. No. Instead, she needs to do something to try and bring the attention back onto her. It's like a child at a birthday party who throws a tantrum because everybody's singing happy birthday to the birthday girl and not taking any notice of them, so they decide to stick their finger in the cake or stamp their foot or start crying in order to get some sympathy or attention themselves. That's how this one's wife functions. And it's all because, as Hannah Furness reports in The Telegraph, the Princess of Wales has promised to send her recipe for plum jam to young gardeners. The princess heard how young volunteers at a community garden in Wales were growing plums and turning them into jam, and promised them, I'll send you my recipe so you can try it. In 2012, it was reported that the then Duchess of Cambridge had given out strawberry jam and plum reserve as Christmas presents. Are we seeing some trolling going on here by the Princess of Wales or possibly by the Telegraph? is it conserve conflicts that we're going to witness? The Duchess of Sussex, her sister-in-law, is currently producing her own range of jam to sell, relaunching her brand under the name As Ever last week. In an Instagram video, the Duchess said, "Of course there will be fruit preserves. I think we're all clear at this point that jam is my jam." The princess, who cooks her version at home, unlike this one's wife, with no known plans to market it to the public, unlike this one's wife, revealed that she is also learning to forage in Norfolk, with her 3 children impressed by a huge puffball mushroom, no, not Harry, she had found near their home. The children thought it was fascinating, she said. The Prince and Princess of Wales made a joint visit to the Meadow Street Community Garden and Woodland near Pontypridd in South Wales, where they were given a tour of the woodland walks and homegrown produce. Introduced to a group of young volunteers, the Princess asked, "What sort of things do you get involved in?" I think the Telegraph meant to write, "What sort of things do you get involved in?" One young woman told her they were growing plums, pointing the tree out, with the princess exclaiming, "I just saw it," prompting the prince to add that his wife's jam was amazing. "Oh, you saucy devil, William." The garden, hardly flooded last year, has bounced back with the help of volunteers and is intended to be a welcoming place for the community to enjoy. It overlooks the River Taff and the A470, with volunteers describing it as a haven in an urban community. The royal couple laughed as they were shown Buckingham Palace, an insect conservation area. This one's wife was not seen within it, and joined a group around a fire to make balms out of plants. Both wore daffodils, celebrating their first joint away day in Wales since the princess's cancer treatment. And pausing there, it must be said that she looks jolly well in the photographs, which is good to see. They were greeted in the garden by Helen Williams, the community development manager, and Dawn Parker, a volunteer. Ms. Williams admired the daffodils, and the prince joked of his wife's, "Her one is bigger than my one." They were given a history of the garden by Casey Pucknell, a volunteer, and in a short walking tour observed raised beds, polytunnels, and natural landscaping. The prince asked about the flooding during Storm Bert last year, which covered the garden, and whether there were many similar outdoor projects in the area. "Do you like getting outdoors?" he added. "It's so good, isn't it?" "Do you think there's enough access to nature?" asked the princess. "We were just hearing that this just isn't about nature. It's also about well-being. Do you feel that?" The couple were then introduced to volunteers, including Vanessa Matthews, who made the prince laugh by telling him she had seen him as a young boy on the television. "This morning I've had a number of people say they met me when he was very young, and I had to say I'm sorry I don't remember," he replied. The couple then visited the Welsh cake shop in Pontypridd, which has been at the heart of the community since 1805. The shop, owned by Teresa Connor, 46, is known for its cakes and barabryth, or speckled bread. On arrival, the prince appeared keen to get stuck in. "How dirty can you be?" he asked. "Flour everywhere." The prince and princess sprinkled flour onto the counter, unlike this one's wife that sprinkles something else onto the counter, before kneading their dough and then using rolling pins to roll it out. "Is that too thick?" the prince asked, glancing at his wife's effort for comparison. There's a video of them rolling the dough out with their rolling pins, actually doing something towards baking, unlike that of this one's wife, who is only ever seen dancing in her kitchen and waving her hands around. They then used shape cutters, not shape shifters, to cut out the cakes before placing them onto a baking tray, taking turns to flip them as they cooked. The prince then carried the tray of their cakes to well-wishers, declaring proudly, "Welsh cakes, made by us." After that, they had a cup of tea with business owners. Miss Connor said afterwards, "They were very good. I asked and said they had never made Welsh cakes before. They were surprisingly very good and both good bakers. I gave them a quick demonstration and they took to it like ducks to water. It's a real privilege they came to visit us. It's massive." Favourable coverage for the Prince and Princess of Wales. Naturally, they seek publicity to demonstrate what the Crown is up to. Remember, as William is a normal and Catherine is an empath, they're not doing it because they need fuel or to assert control over people. It is because it's part of their duties, which they're happy to discharge, and they are genuinely interested in the lives of other people. Furthermore, they're both prepared to get stuck in and do things, unlike this one's wife, who ordinarily just stands there preening herself, brushing her hair out of her face and talking about herself. The contrast is stark, and it's quite entertaining, of course, that they were engaged in some baking, that they were actually undertaking some proper work in terms of cooking and baking, unlike this one's wife, who, as I mentioned, just dances around the kitchen and flounces about, making it all about her rather than actually the products and services that she's meant to be providing through her supposed lifestyle brand. But naturally, with this appearing in the press and the subject matter of it also, this will have had the Duchess of Delusion fuming. Once again, she believes that they're camping onto her ground, because she believes that this is her gig. After all, jam is her jam. She will not like the fact that Catherine quite happily says, "You can have my recipe. I'm not trying to monetize my jam. I'm not trying to flog it. And here we are doing a bit of baking, unlike her." Naturally, William and Catherine will not be thinking about this one's wife. But the context that the Telegraph writes this in is clear, that it's enjoying needling this one's wife by the comparisons to her, the references to jam, and also to bakery. The response? Well, it's a threat to control to this one's wife. She'll undoubtedly have witnessed the coverage, and therefore this prompts her to hastily pump out another Instagram post, which is a video, as I've already analysed. Predictable, as always. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.